Okay, so somebody has to come on extra every week because I love like the monster hands from the guest star.
Yeah,
that's a really nice touch.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comics Della Morte, episode 65, horror movie props and weapons, with special guests Gary Hodges, our returning guest, as always. And I wanted to do some really cool stuff, so I made this cool new background and overlay. And for Gary, he's one of our top guests, so I wanted him to celebrate just our first, not just we do YouTube a lot, but everyone watching now, we're live on Twitch right now.
We're live on Twitch?
Yes, we are.
Wow.
On YouTube and Twitch.
Fantastic.
So, just wanted to get the show promoted across more platforms than just YouTube. I could set up with Facebook page, but Facebook, not a lot of people go there for that stuff, but Twitch definitely is like a platform besides YouTube that would be great for this show.
Yes, sure. Great for this, and maybe I hope right now we're stealing viewing audience from some girl in her bikini playing Call of Duty. I hope I hope they're just ruining her day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Tough. Yeah, tough. Too bad for you.
So everyone, before we
sorry.
And we got Chase. Thank you, Chase. He's been starting to come around as one of our regular guests. So awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
And by the way, a very talented creator. I love seeing. Really? If you're not following him on Instagram, you should check him out. Very, very.
What's his Instagram thing? I might be following him.
Chase, share it in the comments, and we'll give you a shout out. I don't remember it offhand, but I do follow you.
But yeah, so everybody wants to promote themselves before we get into this awesome topic.
Yeah, like real quick. Well, who knows how quick this is really going to be. But minicomicbundles.com is doing the Vault of Horror on the site for
nice
$15. Yeah. Let me show y'all if I can. Watch this.
Chase, we'll put up your link after.
Yeah. So
stuff.
You got the Vault of Horror. Like, this is a physical book. It's pretty. It's much bigger than the minis, but the quality holds up. And you got 5 stories in here: The Drive-In, The Message, Jagged Edges, Fright Rider, and did I say The Message? The Message is my favorite. Like, that was such a fun story to write, because when we started the minis, I'll scroll back up so y'all can see the rest of the stuff on the website, because it got a little update.
Nice.
But Aaron texted me while I was at work one day, and he's like, "We need to do a comic about people not putting their shopping carts in the buggy return." But he didn't call it a buggy return. I call it a buggy return because I'm a little country. But anyway, hold on. So he says, "And you should make it a horror." And I'm like, done. And so we got a really creepy little horror story. I might end up, I'm trying to play with something to do with it on my TikTok. But it's a really good story. They're so short. I don't really like to talk about them a lot, because they're there and then they're gone. Like, it's a pretty quick read, but they're all really, really good. And I think that the horror holds up in the short form kind of the best. But awesome. minicomicbundles.com. I have a couple of other things that I'm working on. I'm getting ready to release a Ransom Notes comic by March. That's like a real date.
Wow.
Like that will be in existence at some point in March. I'm playing with the last few details on the pages. Then I'm gonna put the letters on them, and so that's coming soon. It's a 10-page comic, but there's big news coming after this, and like y'all stay tuned. So minicomicbundles.com for stuff that I've actively written that has been produced. Check my Instagram for news about what's coming. I got to get more active on there. And if you kind of want to get some more info on the source material, like I'm kind of having a blast with it on TikTok. So Fallbreaker Studios, like just type it in and see what comes up. But none of the other stuff, because that may not be mine, but who knows these days, right? So Fallbreaker Studios, wherever you can find me.
Awesome. And for Chase's Instagram, everybody go follow him there. He's been a big follower of the show, and I appreciate his support and coming by. Yeah. And then Keith is in the house. How you doing, Keith?
How's it going, man?
Another great creator.
How's it going?
Got to check out his stuff. He hasn't got any horror, but I mean, from his comic, from what I've seen, I really like the artwork. Nice style. So yeah. Show both of them support.
Yeah. Man, everybody deserves, like, you wouldn't do comics if you didn't love it.
Exactly.
I've said that a lot, like here recently, like as much turmoil as I've been having, like not to be dramatic, but comics has been an anchor and it's been frustrating, but it's been somewhere that I've put my energy. And you don't do this if you don't love it, because
for sure.
It's like a bonsai tree. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like just constant
perfect
pruning,
example.
But I love it. Like it's given me a really good place to put my energy, and it's like everybody's stuff is so good, So I hope everybody gets to support all the indie creators however they can. Like it's a fun process, but it's not an easy process. So hats off to y'all.
Now to Gary.
So the best places to find me right now are on YouTube under my name, Gary Hodges.
Which is in the description for people
to follow. In the description, you'll know you found the right
Instagram.
My profile picture is like a cartoony tyrannosaur gobbling up an alien. Mm-hmm. You can also find me on Instagram as just the same as my Etsy handle right here, Dinosaurs vs Marsbots, Dinosaurs versus Marsbots. Going to be right now, I'm totally sold out of D vs. M 1975 and D vs. M 1997, but there's going to be a reprint very soon. All I'm waiting for is for the IRS to get me my refund. That's it. And then I can place a print order. And I've been checking the little refund status every day like a madman. And they're just saying, we're still processing your return. So if you're looking forward to getting your hands on a copy, a fresh, crisp, clean copy of D vs. M 1975 and 1997, I encourage you to call the IRS and ask them what is going on with Gary Hodges' refund. So as soon as I get that, placing an order for a reprint. If you want to know as soon as it's available, follow me on either YouTube or Instagram or both. I'll certainly announce it there, and you'll be able to snap up some copies. And right now, I'm busy drawing the third one. It's going really well. More news on that to come too if you follow me on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah. If we didn't have to go live, man, I think we would have got all the juicy details,
all the secrets, all the details. Yeah.
Way to go, Ronnie.
And for me, you can follow my links down below, my Instagram. You're here on YouTube's. I don't have a link to my Twitch, but I will set that up as well through my link tree. And then my Vengeful Heart series right now on Topis. I got 3 episodes up, working on the 4th one now. And pretty soon I'm going to be having a lot of characters in this book where I'm going to be having Gary's image face in there. I need Jason's faces at some point. Yeah, just going to have a lot of fun stuff. a lot of creators are going to be built differently, looking like themselves, but like in monster ways. And it's just fun to try to think of ways that I could make it creative and something that's linked to them. Like Scott Serklin, when he sends me his faces, I have a great idea for what I'm gonna make his character to be.
Fantastic. I was happy to see Frank's little likeness cameo in the last one, and even well, I shouldn't spoil it. Even happier to see what became of Frank's likeness in that.
Yeah,
nice.
Take that, Frank.
And that's some of the hardest parts. Not just taking a person and making it look like themselves, but if they're supposed to be like a goblin, a vampire, or anything like that, that has like almost human-like features.
Yeah.
It's hard because you got to try to still make it look exactly like them. And
I think it's tricky.
Yeah, it is. So, I'm not going to show anyone out there, but I have Corey Kerr as a troll. I think I captured his likeness pretty well, but still kept it as a troll.
Can we get a sneak preview once we go off air? Can we? Can?
Oh, it's just the head that I sent you guys from last.
Oh,
time.
that same one. Okay,
yeah,
got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Haven't really worked on the body because I'm trying to decide if I want him to be big or like really skinny.
You know what's funny is we're both doing a lot of indie cameos in our current work in progress because I've got. It's not a big spoiler, but you will be making a little cameo, or your likeness. It's not going to be you. Your likeness will be making a cameo in D vs. Sim 1979. Scott's going to be making a cameo, Scott Serklin. Jim Lujan is going to be making a little cameo, and Corey Kerr. They're like everyone, like a bunch of indies are popping up, and a little farther ahead, Mr. Jason over there is going to be popping up in a future D vs. M. We've talked about that too. So yeah, you gotta look. Awesome. You gotta show your fellow indies some love.
I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a cool thing. I can't wait. I'm just excited to see this story. Like the other two have been so well received by us here at Paul Breaker Studios.
Now you got that song stuck in my head.
But I can't imagine the third installment will be any less spectacular.
Well, thank you. I feel really good about the script and the story. So now it's just making it visual. So
sweet. So pretty much we promoted all of our stuff. Now let's get into the topic.
Yes.
I'll since Gary, you're a guest, you could pick any type of horror weapon or object and we'll talk from there, and then we'll just go around with the one that we want to talk about.
Oh boy, I get to lead. I get to start off. Let me think about this. I'm looking at the list I made for myself. Which is the one? This is a very important call. I think I have. There's more obvious picks, and I'm not going to name them. I'm going to leave it to you guys to name. But the one that I just feel like had the most visceral impact in the movie that I'm thinking of is the axe in The Shining.
Okay,
Jack Nicholson going to town on that bathroom door with that axe is something to see and really terrifying. And my understanding from behind the scenes stuff is Jack Nicholson, like early in his life, had trained to be like a fireman or like a civilian fire response person or something like that. So he knows how to swing an axe. And by God, you watch that movie, you believe it. Like he destroys that door, and that's not some weird foam, styrofoam door that you see in some horror movies. That door isn't made out of graham crackers. That is a solid wood door.
No, but the thing,
destroying it, like it looks terrifying, and like it really makes you think about if that axe is doing that to solid wood, what would it do to a person?
That's what I was gonna say. Is Jack Torrance didn't care who was on the other side. He didn't care if his wife was on the other side of that door.
Yes.
He was going through that door and he would have just chopped her up into hamburger meat. Like, not to be too
It's
graphic,
amazing.
but...
And kudos also to Kubrick, the way he shot that.
Yes.
That first impact, that first swing at the bathroom door where the camera, it starts like he's, going back with the axe, it goes back. And then when he swings forward, it somehow follows that fast. Like and it just helps with that inertia. Like, it's just like, he's just, who's the lumberjack, the mythical
Paul Bunyan.
Paul Bunyan. He's Paul Bunyaning the shit out of that door, and it is amazing. So while there are bigger, like I said, more obvious things to pick in horror, I gotta go. That's the one to me is like, wow, Jack Nicholson can work an axe. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, for sure. Great scene though. I mean, especially when, like you said, chopping down the door and then say his iconic line.
Yes.
Like so many like movies and cartoon shows literally mimic that and paid homage to that scene itself.
And I want to add one little thing, and then I'm eager to hear your guys' choices. But I think when I was looking and thinking about the options for this, if there's a common thread through almost all of these weapons, is there little edged weapons that are easy for you to imagine being cut or hurt by. It's not some weird abstract thing like a lightsaber or a machine gun or something that's kind of hard to picture. Like, it's something that you can sort of picture. And I think what makes that scene even better, not only is the act and him chopping up the wood, like it kind of puts you there. But when you say, like, when he breaks open, he gives his line and reaches in, and his wife takes a kitchen knife and goes right across the back of his hand. It
cuts the entire tension of that scene. Like,
and
it's
well,
like
and that also, even though you want him, like, you want her to get him off of her, it makes you wince. Not only because of his acting, and he does it perfect. Like, it slides across the top of his hand, and he gets this like this big, like, hissy flinch, which is perfect. But like, it's another example of you can picture it. It's easy to picture. It's not like being hit by a flamethrower,
or even an axe.
Yeah,
even in that, like, we've all cut ourselves.
Yeah. Yes. And that's what makes it work. It gets you there. It gets you to the body horror of it. Like, where that is easier. Like, if she had cut his hand off, it wouldn't have had the same effect because you can't relate to that. Most of us.
Yeah.
But all of us can relate to accidentally cutting yourself with a knife and like what that feels like. And that's how that works. So
yeah. So what about you, buddy?
I think, okay, you guys, like, my horror seasoning is like fairly new. So, like, I feel like the scariest thing for me, other than some situational stuff, like the mushrooms, the mushroom tea in Midsummer, is what allowed all the darkness through. And it was like a complete mind thing.
Yeah.
And I can talk about Midsummer, and I'll find a way to talk about it at any time, because I do, like, it's relatable to me, and maybe even a way that it wasn't intended to be, because it was, it was so much more than I love the movie, but no, if you can, like, take somebody's brain, then there's really, you've made them a weapon, like, for you or against themselves. And so, like, I don't know, that's the power to me. Like, that's beyond Freddy, like, and people have their minds taken all the time. And so it sounds outlandish, but, like, once you experience certain things, you realize how hard it is to live through it or to experience it. And I can't imagine, like, psychedelics being a part of my upbringing, because that would have been a whole different dimension of intense. So
that's a good outside the box choice. Like, horror
sure.
movie weapons, like the mushrooms in Midsummer. That's like, I mean, it's totally legit, but I would never have thought of that.
Because I mean, there's so many movies that have to deal with like some type of drug that makes you hallucinate.
Yeah.
Like, what's the movie that I'm thinking of? Not Us, but the same director that made that movie. Get Out.
Oh,
yeah.
He literally had that. Yeah, he literally had to like drink that liquid and everything to prep his mind to become brainwashed.
Now I have to admit, I don't. You guys say whatever you want, and I know I'm last to the party on this. I still haven't seen Get Out, and I hear it's amazing.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
it's really, really, really good.
Yes, it is.
I liked it a lot better than Us. I liked Us, but
yeah. I should see if I can stream it this weekend. Like, because
it's top notch. Like, especially for the stuff that we like, it's top notch.
Yeah,
for sure.
So hit us, Ronnie. What you got? Throw out there?
Well, I'm gonna pick something obvious.
Good.
And I'm gonna pick.
We're going a little outside the box.
I'm gonna pick this. I'm gonna pick the franchise that made me fall in love with horror in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's Freddy's Glove.
Yeah, you gotta.
Sure. Yeah.
It's
iconic.
Just for the fact is like there's so many Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Like people like Dream Warriors, no Dream Master, no the first one, no Freddy's Revenge.
Yeah.
Just as many people who say what's their favorite Freddy movie. If you are a diehard Freddy fan, in each movie, the glove is different and it's designed different. Yeah. So literally you could go online and buy the Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Warriors glove that looks totally different than the glove for Dream Master. So it's just cool to see how the glove has evolved over the years in the design. And what's funny that, what was it? And I know you're not a fan of the movies, but I just thought it was funny, Jason, how literally, oh my gosh, I'm having a brain fart with Bruce Campbell's movie.
Oh,
really Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. On the site of Evil Dead, they were making a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, so they literally stole the glove and hid it in one of the scenes in Evil Dead, and you could actually see that glove.
I didn't know that.
That's maybe I'll make the movie. Maybe make the movie a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I can't remember if it's one or two, but literally where he's in the shed looking for that chainsaw.
So it's not. Well, it's got to be. Probably two then, right?
Yeah, probably so. Mm-hmm. But also too, that's why that's why they had like Ash versus Jason versus Freddy because of because of that whole little Easter egg reference.
The little crossover, the little wink. That's pretty cool.
But with the glove like that, it's just terrifying to think about because it's one of those things with an axe. It's big and heavy. It's heavy, so it's going to slow you down. But with something that the blades are so sharp, they're like almost like what hedge clipper scissors, or like I don't know what type of scissors it would have been, but they were sharp blades, and you're able to wear the glove, and you could run as fast as you want because you don't have this big heavy thing on top of you.
Yeah, it feels like it'd be harder to avoid than like an axe. Like like an axe would be devastating if you got hit. But it seems like you could sort of, it's almost like someone who's throwing giant haymakers. Like, you know, you could probably like slip around a little bit. You don't want to get hit, but maybe you can avoid it. If someone can just sort of like, like grab at you, like, that's really hard to get away from. Yeah.
And it could fit in, and it could fit into smaller places. You know?
Yeah. Like if, you're in a tight little hallway, how are you using that axe? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or you're like through a jail cell or anything like that. If you have the links, then it's gonna do it.
Guys, I don't want to get you too excited, but it looks like we've got a very hot young woman, I'm assuming, waiting for us to stream. It's an 18+ stream. Just so you know, like, don't go on.
When you have the top, most successful, most popular guest of all art casters on, like, this stuff is bound to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's right. I'm flattered. Loveface XYZ. What a great name.
Strips without clothing. Yeah. That's important. Like,
strips without clothing. What does that mean?
It's like
I don't know.
It's like eyes without a face.
Yeah,
I took care of it. But I was wondering when that happened. What?
I just watched Eyes Without a Face a couple nights ago on Criterion.
Maybe.
It's this 60s French horror movie. Are you guys familiar with this? Yeah.
I only know the Billy Idol song.
Oh yeah, Eyes Without a Face. That's actually public domain.
What's that?
I think that movie is public domain. I'm not sure.
I don't know, but like it's on the Criterion channel. It's just a real quick. It's a French horror movie. The premise is that this doctor, his daughter gets into an accident where basically her face is horribly disfigured. So what he starts doing is he sends his wife out to kidnap beautiful young French girls to take back to his lab to transplant their face onto his daughter. And he keeps trying to make it work, but the grafts don't work and they'll gradually rot off. So then he has to go and find another girl to try again with her face. It's kind of like a B movie, but I found it totally entertaining. And I don't understand why they haven't remade it. Like it seems like it's just ripe for remaking. It's so
kind of sounds like Frankenstein and Darkman. Look.
Yeah, a little bit. Yes. Yeah, it totally works. Check it out. Google Eyes Without a Face.
Sweet. But yeah, so that's mine, the Freddy Krueger glove, just because even if like you're running, that person could literally like run as fast as they could and die forward and literally scrape you.
They could rake at you while they're right behind you. Yeah. Could be bad. That's a good that's a classic. That's like the #1 classic horror weapon, right? I mean, that has to be like the iconic.
Yeah, because it's like talking about cutting yourself with a blade. You have 4 of them at once.
Right.
Well, there's something
still real enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it was supposedly made out of gardening tools, right? Because wasn't
gardening tools
a gardener or something?
Yeah.
And there is something kind of wicked looking about gardening shears and things like that, like, and those curved like limb cutters, like they just all look a little creepy and scary. So like that was a clever way to go about it. But. Yeah.
All right. So anybody got any others? Because I have a whole top of stuff on my head.
So I'm gonna sort of skirt around another obvious one to talk about a less obvious one in the same movie. So I don't remember how old I was when I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I was young.
That new movie came out. I mean, the new trailer. We'll talk about that.
Oh yes, I was young enough where it really disturbed me. That original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is kind of low budget in a way that makes it feel like a snuff film. Like it really is kind of like gross and dark and screwed up. Again, avoiding the obvious choice for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'm going to call out another smaller thing that I think is even scarier and creepier and more cringy because, again, it's closer to relatable. When he captures one of the girls, one of the hot, nubile young girls, he drags her into a room and he hooks her up on a meat hook to hang there while he attends to another victim. And that is still to this day like one of the most effed up, horrible ideas.
Of course.
like that is medieval level shit. You know, like this idea of like take a person alive and just hook them through their ribs, like to hang and dangle while you come back to them later. Like that to me is like you got to put a meat hook in the pantheon of horror movie weapons. But
Yeah, because
Sure.
besides the pain, you're slowly feeling more pain because the force of your body weight is slowly tearing through the hook.
Yeah, it's probably slowly tearing you open. Like you can't offer, and you're just there to spectate and, try not to go into shock, or maybe try to go into shock. I don't know. Maybe.
Right, because all the while you're still listening to somebody else be Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, and you're next. You're like,
there's no other,
yeah.
You're not getting out alive, even though you're not dead. Like, it's over.
Right.
You're hanging on a meat hook. Like,
exactly. No, but before we go into the other weapon of his, that's the obvious choice. In the new trailer for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it takes place during like today's world, where literally these people are on a party bus and they're filming him. And one of the people's like, "We're getting ready to cancel you, bro, because of cancel culture." So all these people are on a party bus with their phones out on social media, and then he starts revving up his chainsaw, and it's all live for people to see them slowly die. Or not slowly die, but a lot of them.
I didn't realize they were even making a new Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, I think they're doing that because if people who like to play horror games as well, the Friday the 13th video game where you could either play as a counselor or play as Jason and go around killing them. The same studio is making a Texas Chainsaw Massacre game as well. Yeah.
So this one does not have the anti-inhuman treatment of animal message that the first one did, I guess.
Oh, that's a good question, and I think I have an answer. I'm going to quickly Google to confirm the name. It's an amazing name, yes.
Seems like there's cutting is.
Keith, I would recommend Midnight Meat Train, which sounds like perhaps a gay porn, but not. It might also be, I don't know, but Midnight Meat Train, which it should be a porn, really. But Midnight Meat Train is basically, it's the most ridiculous horror.
Squashy.
Concept. The rubber sheet. Oh, I think that totally counts. Fire in the Sky is so good. Anyway, Midnight Meat Train, it's the most ridiculous horror movie concept, but it's basically, there's this psycho killer that trolls the subway trains, basically, late at night. And he'll just kind of wander around until he finds one person sitting alone in a car. And he's got like a giant steel mallet, like a meat tenderizer, that he clubs them to death and, basically... That's right. It's a real thing. Don't demonetize us. But anyway...
This show is aimed for kids anyway.
So weapon horror movie. And it's amazing. I'm not going to say it's good, but it's worth watching. You know what I mean? Gotcha. It's fantastic, and it's kind of hilarious, and it's stupid, and it's over the top, but it's a modern one. I think there's like Bradley Cooper is in it, of all people. Like this was fairly, the past 10 or 15 years. And I can't remember the name of the villain in it, but you'll recognize him. He's from like Snatch and things. Like he's like a British tough guy.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. It's worth seeing. It's got a lot of crazy over the top gore. So,
also, I would have to say, I don't know if y'all have, Ronnie, you probably have seen it, but Maniac Cop. Maniac Cop never used any weapons. Mm-hmm. He just beat people to death. Yeah. So it was like he was the bludgeoning weapon. Mm-hmm. And there you go. I don't know, those were fun. Those, I saw the first two. I don't know if it's more than that, but I really enjoyed those for that style of horror, because that's not my go-to typically. But Maniac Cop is pretty tough.
No, he's part of the slasher franchise for sure. But before we go into what I want to, for what Squashy said, Leatherface's chainsaw, another big bulky weapon that you can't really run fast with. But the fact is that in a scary house, like if you go to a theme park or just a random place that they turn into a scary house, usually if you're in a dark room, the first thing that's going to scare you is the sound of a chainsaw coming out from nowhere, especially as a kid, because they'll chase you out from a curtain. And there's been times as a kid growing up where I went to a scary house, and that literally the first thing that made me scared.
For sure. Yeah.
And the thing about too, that something like a chainsaw, it has like thousands of blades, but those thousands of blades are probably so sharp, and think about the force that has to be put in to like drill through you. Could be like one of the most pains, because it's not just like cutting you, but imagine your flesh is being wrapped around one of the blades and it's ripping apart.
It's kind of cutting and sort of pulverizing, or like chewing up. Like it's not a clean cut. It's like a grinding cut.
It's like pulling some of your, like when your skin gets caught on one of the blades, it's like pulling it apart, like when you were a kid and you pull the gum out of your mouth and it's stretched.
Yeah.
We should like totally impose this conversation over one of those old like Mach 3 razor commercials. Where like, look how it's like, it's not just cutting, but it's also pulling the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's just, I don't know. I like hooks. I like dark weapons. Like, Freddy could be a medieval weapon. You know what I mean? Like all those.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
The hand chainsaw, the hand, the kind of, well, and Keith earlier had another good blunt horror weapon with Misery, with the sledgehammer.
The sledgehammer. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's A1. Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, Squashy, I'm gonna go talk about this one just because, alien movies, pretty much all about like probing people and all that stuff. And I'm not gonna lie,
Ronnie.
I'm not gonna lie, it totally turns me on.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm all about it. I'm here for it. Hashtag don't kink shame me. Like the whole right.
It's like the sequel to Earth Girls Are Easy.
The darks. No, that's a great horror scene in Fire in the Sky.
Because I'm gonna say this. Yeah. When I was young and I first saw Friday the 13th, Dream Warriors with my with my older siblings, I had to be like maybe 8, 9 years old. Freddy didn't really scare me. Like I was like, oh, that's awesome. But for whatever reason, when he was thrown onto that table and the blanket got skin tight, and then they put that goo in his mouth, and you slowly saw that drill get closer to his eye. Yes. I don't know. Just that scene there scared the shit out of me more than a slasher, because Freddy at the same time is funny and cracks jokes, but those aliens didn't talk once. No, and it's just more of a terrifying scene.
Yeah, their total disinterest in his reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Like
they were just doing what they were doing,
like a maniac, and they're just looking at him. Like is really pretty powerful.
And before he even went into before he got his they started like putting him down to the table, and he was trying to escape. He got into another pod, and that other pod had a person who was missing their whole lower half.
Yeah.
And even Freddy, it has gore and stuff like that, but that was more graphic than any of the other Freddy movies in the beginning.
That was, I thought, an interesting. I think if you're trying to figure out what makes the Fire in the Sky sort of alien myth different from a lot of the others, I think one thing that stood out to me was just the dinginess and disgustingness of the ship. Like it was really like, you had this rotting corpse that they were keeping.
It was like a pickup. It was like a pickup truck of UFOs.
Yeah, it was like they're just a bunch of like, it was like almost the equivalent of the Nostromo from Alien, where it's just this like functional dirty old ship where they're just doing gross, and like they have people there that are like the forgotten leftovers in the back of your fridge. It's just like really just kind of gross and disgusting. Squatchy did with the deep cut Leech Woman's leeches from Puppet Master. I haven't thought about Puppet Master in
I love
1,000 years.
I love Puppet Master. If I was going to get any replica, it would have to be Tumblr, the guy with the blade on his head.
Yes.
He was my favorite. And
didn't he have like a drill or something?
Yeah, it was a drill because he was a drill sergeant.
Yes.
And there's like,
of course.
There's at least like, I think maybe 12 movies now.
Yeah,
but
12.
You know,
like
with him, but with Tumblr, he had some of the most graphic kills because it was a drill in the head. But then you had some other cool characters that you just wanted because they look cool. Like
Leech Woman was hilarious.
Leech Woman, yeah. That she would throw up leeches, and the first time when they introduced her, she threw up like leeches that are like almost like a foot, probably at least a foot long. And the last one she threw up on was on the man's penis.
Yeah,
and I could only imagine how painful, because literally when you seen him dead, the bite marks are like this bigger, or like the size of a $50.
They're huge. Keith has another fantastic one. I hadn't thought about this, but man, if this would definitely be in my top 5. Marathon Man.
Oh yeah. Oh, is it safe, Dennis?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Is it safe?
Yeah.
Is it safe?
Is it safe?
Oh yeah.
Using dental tools on this guy while he's unnumbed,
and nothing he can do about it.
Nothing he can do about it, and he doesn't know what the hell the guy's talking about.
Yeah.
And it just. And he doesn't know what's the right answer, what's the wrong answer. And he's like just basically stabbing raw, open nerves in his mouth with dental tools. It's terrible.
So gnarly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Squashy said Blade and Jester. Yeah. 6-shooter was cool. The cowboy with 6 arms. But another cool fact for people that don't know, the game is still in development, but you could download it and play a private section with your friends. You could be a person trying to steal the formula for everlasting life, or you could play as the puppets trying to kill people. So there's a certain site that's trying to get a Steam game out where you could play as the puppets from Puppet Master trying to kill the person stealing the stuff.
I can't. What if there is a Puppet Master resurgence? What if Puppet Master comes back? That would
if anybody wants to know that, message me, because at some point I would actually like to play that game. So
speaking of games, I just got to tell you guys, quick diversion. Did I send you the link of the Thing board game?
No.
Where you all play one of the people in that installation, and someone is randomly made the Thing at the start of the game. And you don't want to reveal that. And while everyone's trying to figure out who's the Thing and how to get off the base, whoever is a Thing is trying to secretly sabotage all those efforts and make more things. What? And I swear to God, it's almost enough where we need to do some sort of cross-country trip to play the Thing board game together.
Right?
I want to try.
I was gonna say if there's a mobile, if there's a mobile app version, we could do it live.
Like a lot of fun.
It would be amazing. Yeah. Loveface XYZ is back. The best girls in the world.
I thought I blocked that person.
Well, its name is slightly different. This is what happens when you step into Twitch, which is a den of a hive of scum and villainy.
But hey, it's okay.
Them, Gary, when you started talking about bikini girls playing Call of Duty, like
right?
They're like, don't
alert.
Don't mess with our bread and butter. Like, come on.
Exactly.
Don't mess with a man's food. Come on. I mean, this is how.
Yeah, this is how we eat over here.
Yeah, come on.
Now let's
We're
talk
not even
about.
In the same
girls will do what you say. Loveface XYZ.
Let's talk about the butcher. I mean the butcher knife. Other killers have used the butcher knife, but Michael Myers literally made that his own.
Yes.
Norman Bates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Who else? I mean, the butcher knife has a long and proud tradition in horror movies. I mean,
American Psycho, but he He only used it once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. He kind of used all. He liked all the things.
He was just he wasn't a weapon. He wasn't a weapon of choice guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was just kind of a mental case.
But with that knife, you could stab people with it, but it seems like you have to stab a person multiple times unless you slit their throat in order for them to die. Because at least some point, especially with Scream, the Scream franchise, they used the butcher knife, and there's been times where the same person would come back to life after they've been stabbed like 3 times, 5 times, because it wasn't a direct hit to an artery.
Right. The story is that David Berkowitz, the son of Sam, just famous serial murderer.
Yeah.
He initially, when he decided he was going to try and kill someone for the first time, he found some girl in a park or something and tried to stab her to death.
Mm-hmm.
And he said in a later interview that he was shocked and horrified to find that, unlike the movies, she didn't just wilt and collapse after the first stab. She just started screaming and running around.
Mm-hmm.
And he decided, based on that experience, well, this is bullshit. And from that point on, started using a pistol in his murders. So, there's.
He's like, he's like, I got a quota to keep up. I gotta cut to the chase here.
Yeah, this is Bush League. I'm never gonna go pro with this.
Who's the star of the show here?
Yeah, come on now.
Right.
I don't want to have to work for it.
Yeah, for sure. But let's see what another. Well, we'll talk about one killer that has used multiple weapons, because it's one of those things. Friday the 13th, Jason. Most people think of his machete, but there's other movies where he's like using a pitchfork and other weapons. Like, it's not one of those things that the machete was always his go-to. Yeah. He would even use like a harpoon stick and stuff like that. Yeah. A lot of those kills are iconic, and in the Friday the 13th game, if you're Jason and you have one of those weapons, you could mimic like one of the scenes from the movies, which is really cool, because I'm like, oh, I remember that from that movie and that movie. But again, with the machete, it's such iconic because it's really big, and it's one of those things like you could run with it, but you really can't fit into tight corners. But it has become so iconic that you see other movies trying to have a killer use the same weapon.
Yeah. Well, and if you asked 1,000 artists to draw, some fan art of Jason Voorhees, I bet you 995 of them would draw it with a machete. That's just even though Keith called out my favorite Jason kill was when he picked up that person in the sleeping bag and slammed him against the tree, which
awesome.
Is
and
crazy. But
not to cut you off, but if you're a counselor and you're hiding in a tent, and Jason, the player, knows you're in there, they could actually kill you that way.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is awesome.
He has a sixth sense of where you're hiding. It's pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, that sleeping bag scene's iconic.
That's great. It's hilarious. Mm-hmm. Now, you would know this. I'm not a huge fan of the movies, but I just remember it had a very distinct weapon that was memorable.
Mm-hmm.
What is the name of the little orb in Phantasm that has a blade that pops out of it?
Oh my God. I know the guy who's trying to kill them is called the Tall Man.
Yes. And it's like, for people who haven't seen it, picture the little thing from when they're playing Quidditch in Harry Potter, like the little thing that flies around. Picture that, but with like a weird curved knife on the nose of it that just flies into people's foreheads. Like that.
Yeah, the knife, like the sphere, it's like made of chrome, and the knife is basically the keep it stuck in your head, and then there's a drill that drills into your head.
That's
and then
right.
And then what happens, the drill starts having like a suction motion where literally all your brain matter and blood will start pouring out of the
That's right.
backside
It
of it.
kind of blends your brain and spits it out the back. I forgot it. It's like I said, it's a movie that I may have seen. I don't remember. I found it sort of totally forgettable, but that little device, I never forgot. Like that was the one thing about it that stood out to me. But,
yeah. Let me see.
Well, if you could,
in Hellraiser, I'm looking that up. Yeah, Hellraiser.
If you could assign a weapon
configuration,
would it be like a chain with a hook on, like a fish hooky thing on the end of it? Like what would?
Like we could talk, like we've been talking about weapons, but let's talk about props. The lament configuration, the box itself, where a real artist designed that thing in and out.
Yeah.
By hand sculpting the symbols, where each symbol actually had a meaning to it.
Yeah.
To represent the things in hell. And it's just such an iconic piece because, it's not really a weapon itself. It calls upon Hellraiser and stuff like that, but it's just such a beautiful design and has a lot of history to it, where literally it could open a gate to hell, or it could open up a gate to, another world, because sometimes it's considered as hell, whereas another alternate universe or another universe of itself of like pain and torture. But yeah, really great design.
Well, yeah, an iconic thing. Like when you think of the imagery of Hellraiser, probably first you think about Pinhead's face, and then second you think of the box. What else we got? Let's see. I'm going to look at my.
I got one, but I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie. And that would be Wishmaster, the crystal. Basically, there's a lot of movies. I think there's like 5. But what it is that Wishmaster, you have back in the old like medieval days, this wizard cast a djinn into a gem. And because the djinn was supposed to take over the world and bring hell onto earth. And when he cast them into the gem, pretty much like once the gem is broken, the person that I think broke it is given 3 wishes. And after the 3rd wish, the djinn is able to bring all of his other djinn brothers and family to earth to take over the world and bring hell to it. So it's just interesting how, like, with a lot of horror movies that you could tie back into the lament configuration, that there's always this one item that if you don't touch this item or do something with it, then the whole plot of the movie wouldn't really happen. And what's interesting, I don't really want to spoil the movies, but it's like trying to find ways to trick this djinn to making sure that he never met you in the first place by not making it obvious with the wishes.
That's complex.
And it's one that I remember when it was out, and I never saw it.
Yeah, one that I can't remember which movie it was, but there was this one scene where this man is injured and his pain is so bad that the djinn asks him, "Do you wish you were never born?" Because he's like, yeah, I will. And then what happens is that the guy starts like shaking really bad and screaming. And the scream is so terrifying because you literally see this man start aging from like a grown man that's like in his 40s to like nothing. So it shows him like going from his teenage years
to his
infant.
Did he go younger or did he go older?
No, he started growing younger. Where he
ended up, like rewind.
Wow.
Yeah, where he ended up to just basically like, yeah. So it was terrifying because you just all of a sudden at one point saw like maybe a 1 month old baby, like literally shaking really fast.
Wow, that's
certainly does sound terrifying.
That's messed up. Yeah, that's 100%.
A Sentinel Sphere. That's the name of the flying silver orbs in the movie.
Oh, nice.
Like, I don't know if we could. I was like, there's scenes on YouTube, but I don't want to like show it because I don't want our video to be taken down.
Right. Yeah, totally.
But yeah, but it's one of those things that most horror movies have nothing but like a bunch of iconic weapons. But, there are props or artifacts that you could really think of, because going back to the Puppet Master, there's always some type of like liquid, like, oh, I found a way to bring the dead back from the life. I mean, back from the dead.
Yeah.
And we'll go into another franchise of horror movies. I know there's two that I've seen. I think there's a third one, but the Reanimator.
There we go. Lovecraft. Yeah.
Literally, it's about the same thing like with Puppet Master. You have this formula where you're able to bring the dead back from,
right.
Bring the dead to life.
It's a little Frankenstein-y, a little, yeah. That first Reanimator movie is pretty great.
Oh, yes, it was.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. It's way over the top, but it's also like the best of any of those, I thought.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and to me, that's kind of something I was thinking about was, and this is more like an idea, but like the idea of the sort of the evil surgeon, like the scalpel, like something like that. And when I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking examples like that, Reanimator, but also
Dr. Giggles.
Oh, Dr. Giggles.
Yeah, or what I brought up, Eyes Without a Face, or Martyrs. I don't know if you saw that French horror movie. So messed up. There was basically a whole cult devoted to this idea that some people, just before death, when experiencing the maximum amount of physical suffering that one can endure, can briefly tap into the world beyond, the mystical experience, the afterlife, like have a divine experience, basically a mystical experience. And this whole cult was operating with finding people to capture and torture within an inch of their lives to see if they could generate this experience to get wisdom about like what's going on, what's going to happen after we die. And so there's this spoilers, if you think that's something you want to check out, and if you haven't gone down the rabbit hole of French horror movies, especially from like the past 20 or 30 years, like strap in, because like they are gory and freaky and disturbing. Like they're really hardcore, and they make a lot of like American horror look like very silly, but so no spoiler. Like if you are worried about spoilers, maybe like mute for 10 seconds. But basically they capture this woman, they imprison her, and they're going to torture her to see if she has this experience. You go through most of the movie thinking that she's probably going to somehow escape and somehow like bring justice to the cult, and she does not. They finally end up flaying her alive, and and she finally has like some kind of weird magical experience that she whispers to the head cult lady. Like anyway, it's a crazy screwed up, messed up movie. But that would be another example of like basically bad surgeons. Another would be like a cheesier, sillier example would be like Human Centipede, something like that.
Oh my God, yes.
Where I would categorize these all as the weapon of choice being the scalpel and sutures.
Yeah.
But I thought of a perfect artifact. Because, I mean, most of the time when you think of artifacts, you think of like a ancient statue or something like that. Which, a artifact, because it's in the Evil Dead and it's in the Mummy, the Book of the Dead, that thing is in everything. Like that book is always the one book that people have in a movie that tries to bring something terrifying back to life.
Yeah, the Necronomicon. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good kind of horror movie iconic device.
Mm-hmm. Where I think that book has, the book has different names in different movies, but it's the same purpose.
The same idea. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the cursed book. Like the
exactly.
evil book, exactly. There's something that wasn't that. Let's see. I'm looking at cooking themed horror film remake of Chef but with Nicolas Cage.
That's funny.
Yeah, Soylent Green. Yeah, that's another one that like you can't really like if you want to get really abstract about it, the weapon being like people's teeth, that like cannibal horror,
right.
Like so Soylent Green. Oh my god, what I'm blanking on the name of one that's really good.
Didn't they eat people in Omega Man?
I don't remember. Omega Man's the one with Charlton Heston, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which was like a remake of or not a remake. It was a movie version of I'm blanking out. What was the Will Smith zombie one? Or
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend. So the original short story, I Am Legend, Omega Man was a version of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and then I Am Legend was another kind of version of that. None of them were loyal to the book, as is that seems to be par for the course. But yeah, this idea of a world of vampires or a world of
because they were vampires in the comic. I Am Legend. They were
and in
zombies
the
in the comic. Yeah.
In the short story. Like, the Will Smith character, I can't remember his character's name. He was like the last human being in a world of vampires.
Right.
And they finally... Yeah, there are two versions of it. Yeah, there was a Vincent Price version too.
I actually seen that one. That was an interesting one.
And it's never... I'm curious, like, if they'll ever do one that's closer to, like, like more like the idea, this straight idea of
the last man on Earth. That was it.
Vampires take over but yeah, like that was the whole thing where like this guy at the very end, he gets captured and he realizes that like he's sort of the vampire now because he's the weird one. Like everybody's a vampire and he's the scary human being.
That's too bad. That's messed up.
It's kind of like Twilight Zone-y. It's
it's finally time to read.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I have one.
Everyone looks like a pig, so I'm ugly. Yeah.
I have another one. Of course, there's. Let me see.
They make bacon out of me.
Yeah, right.
Right. It is kind of corny. Like Twilight Zone has been sort of dunked on a little bit, but I mean they are kind of all the same. I was feeling the same way when everyone was into Black Mirror. Like my friend and I were always like, did you see the one where like we're all our smartphone? Or it's like, oh, is that like the one where like we're all living in the smartphone? Or like we're the one where we're all on the internet? Like they're all that. But anyway.
Yeah. A movie, I don't really think I saw other horror movies that kind of... Maybe there is horror movies that try to mimic the same story, but let's talk about a movie that made a big hit in the early 2000s, and that would be The Ring, the videotape, the iconic videotape. To think about that, if you watch this movie in 7 days, you'd be killed, and then later on, anyone has any... I don't know if you guys seen the rest of the movies. Yes or no?
I've only seen the very first. I've seen the.
I think I've seen the second one, but I've seen the
original.
first
If you guys,
like,
okay, if you guys don't want spoilers, I won't say what happens after past the tape.
Yeah, I've seen the Japanese one and the American remake. I haven't seen any of the sequels.
Yeah, the remake. I mean the sequels to the American. It it gets worse, and it's like, how could you really go past that point? So yeah.
Yeah, pre-ring Videodrome that's a good one, a good classic.
Oh, Videodrome. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that.
With the very sexy Debbie Harry of Blondie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't think of the actor's name. Played Hades in Disney. James Woods? James Wood? I don't know if it's
James Woods. Yeah.
Yeah, James Woods. Yeah. That's a good one.
But you guys got any other ones? Because we're past the hour mark.
I think we hit all
remember when
we got machetes, we got butcher knives, we got axes, we got chainsaws, we got Freddy's glove, we got the little phantasm gadget.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We got,
because we talk about butcher knives, and butcher knives are pretty much used by Michael, Chucky, Scream,
Chucky,
Ghostface.
Chucky,
That's Ghostface. That's the name of the mask. So
I'll throw one last one in.
Mm-hmm.
The original movie version of Pet Sematary.
Oh yes.
Where I'll never forget, and it's another. I respond to the relatable injuries, like the ones that it's like, ooh, that just looks like it would hurt. The little kid kills someone by hiding under a bed. The guy walks near the bed. He doesn't know where the kid is, and the kid stole one of his dad's scalpels. His dad's a doctor. He stole one of his scalpels. He reaches out and he slices his Achilles tendon, like just right on the back of his foot, and makes the guy collapse. So now he's ground level with this crazy.
Because he can't get up after he cuts that part of the foot.
What's that?
He couldn't get up after that part.
No, and that's what's horrible. Like, and the idea of falling down, and now you're like eye to eye with this creepy kid under your bed with a scalpel, and you can't get up because he just hobbled you. Like that.
And if there was nothing wrong with you, you would destroy this kid.
Exactly. You'd pick him up and throw him out the window, but now, it's kind of an even fight. Like it could go either way.
Yep. He cheated.
For sure.
There we go. I don't want to be buried in a Pet Cemetery. That movie, I have to say, like,
I didn't see this the remake.
I didn't see the remake either. I saw the original, and that was enough for me, because even though I'm going to channel my mom, my dear departed mom, a little bit here, it's good. It's memorable. It's not good. No, let me take that back. It's memorable, but it's also tacky. Like, it's just like the things in it are so disturbing and weird. Like, you're seeing kids get hit by cars. You're seeing like cats get, like euthanized. You're seeing, like, it's just messed up. Like, it's just really like a heavy, dark horror movie that I don't think is particularly good, but you'll not forget it anytime soon. So maybe that's something.
Awesome. Well, yeah. So, we mostly talked about weapons because, like I said, most horror movies is about the iconic weapons. The artifacts. There are some, but most people, are like, oh, that the kill that was happening with that weapon, that's more iconic than what brought about the creature in the first place, by saying some type of ritual or like having some type of weapon, like artifact to banish it away.
Yeah.
But, and so while we close up, Keith, Chase, Squashy,
thanks,
anyone else there who's now watching us on Twitch, thank you all for the support.
Yeah. Yes.
That sex bot that kept sharing the stuff.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for welcoming us to Twitch.
If we've sold, now you can continue going back to watching a girl in a bikini playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, go get your XP or whatever.
Yeah, that's
Go whatever the kids are doing.
Unlock your achievement, whatever you're doing. I don't know.
Yeah. But you all have a good weekend. We'll see you all next time.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.